Hey, what's up everybody? It's Justin with Sillage Scents. Today I've got a video about some of the most attractive summer fragrances on the market. Every one of these are head turners. They'll get you attention, they'll get you compliments, and there's a pretty good range of price from a couple clones that are very inexpensive all the way up to some that are more pricey but worth it, I would say. So as we get going here, please let me know down in the comments, what would you add to this list as the most attractive summer fragrances you have or have tried? And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. I've got videos coming out every couple days, and I'd love it if you'd join us for the journey. All right, here we go. So first up, I have a clone of Roja Dove Parfums Elysium. And this is, as far as I'm aware of, probably the highest end clone. This is by PARFUMS Vintage. They do very high quality clones. They claim that they use even higher quality fragrance oils than the actual Roja does, and a higher concentration of oils as well. This one is called Evolution del Homme SOIR. And this is their version of the Parfum Cologne of Elysium, and it is a powerhouse version of Elysium. One of the complaints about Elysium clones is it's hard to get one that is accurate and long-lasting. This one is longer lasting than the original, and it's very accurate, super accurate. You get the beautiful black currant and grapefruit and lime, that sort of sweet citrus opening. You get vetiver, very similar to Elysium, although I would say the vetiver is actually increased a little bit in this one. So you get a little more of that grassy vetiver, and you have a longer lasting opening of those sort of sweet, fruity vibes that you get in Elysium and its counterparts. But this one is the longest lasting that I'm aware of, including longer lasting than the original. But be sure that you like vetiver, because it is increased a little bit in this one. They have another version called SOIR Extrait, and these are not cheap. I think the 100 mil with shipping was around 150 bucks. But the SOIR Extrait, I think, is around 80 for a 60 mil, but it is just nuclear powered extrait. And so, 60 mil of that would probably last you twice as long as a bottle of anything else. So very good clone of Elysium. Next up, I'm going to go with one that's not a clone, but it has been compared to Bleu de Chanel. And I would say they're probably about 85% similar to maybe EDP of Bleu de Chanel. I'm talking about MISSONI Parfum. And so what you're going to get with this one is just that very sort of clean, soapy blue fragrance. You've got that citrus ginger opening, and then you go into a little bit of something that's going to remind you of smokiness. In this one, you've got some woods that give you a little bit of a smoky vibe rather than the incense in Bleu de Chanel. But pretty much, if you've smelled Bleu de Chanel, this is very similar. It's a good performer as well. It is a parfum or a lait parfum, which I think is kind of a high concentrated EDP, but it's, easily an 8 to 10 hour blue fragrance, and it's also pretty inexpensive. I've got a little 1 ounce or 1.3 ounce bottle here, but you can get 100 mil, 3.4 ounce for usually around $40, around that range. So great version of Bleu de Chanel DNA. Let's see. Next up, let's go with one that is a classic at this point, but people are still wearing it. Actually, in the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've complimented 2 people on this fragrance. I didn't know what it was. I would have guessed maybe it was this one. It really wears differently on different people. One person that was wearing it, I actually thought it was something completely different, but it's just a beautiful fragrance, and there's a reason why it's been a hype beast and one of the best-selling men's fragrances of probably the last couple decades. I'm talking about just the original Invictus. And so what you're going to get with this one is a you know, sweet bubblegum kind of a vibe. To me, it reminds me a little bit more of grape bubblegum than, you know, just original flavored bubblegum. But it's also got ambroxan. It's also got some clary sage. It's got a little bit of an aromatic kind of feel. There's a significant freshness to Invictus. If you've never tried it by some crazy reason, then go to just about any department store and sample it, or get one of the many fragrances that are now in this vein, because even though the original is probably overhyped and overdone, it still smells amazing, and it works just as good to me in the summer as it does in the cooler months. It's an incredibly versatile fragrance, and both the guys that I complimented on this are over 50, still wearing the original Invictus and rocking it and smelling great. Next up, we're going to go with one that is a cheapie. I've got a 1.7 ounce bottle here that I think I got for around $20 or low 20s. This is a beautiful iced lemonade, refreshing fragrance. This is Jimmy Choo Man Ice. And it's been compared to Dior Homme Cologne. It's got quite a similarity to that one, but basically what you're going to get is lemon and orange, sort of a fresh lemon and orange with some sweetness, so not overly tart or overly sour. Lemon and orange with some sweetness, and then some muskiness and possibly some vetiver. I don't think vetiver is an official note, but there is something that will remind you of vetiver, and maybe it's just the musk. But this is a very refreshing citrus fragrance that on my skin lasts for about 7 hours. So, and it doesn't develop that much. It's fairly linear, and for pretty much the whole 7 hours, although the sweet fruitiness dies down a little bit and that musky kind of grassy vetiver feel increases a little bit, you're going to get that beautiful citrus all throughout the wearing. It's just a steal for what you can get that one for. All right, next up, let's go with one. This one is a clone of a Creed fragrance. It's one of the most popular fragrances by ARMAF. This is in the Club de Nuit line, and I'm talking about Milestone. This is a clone of Millésime Imperial by Creed, which is just a beautiful, spring, summer focused fragrance. Very fruity. There's kind of a fresh melon vibe that you're going to get in the opening, as well as a lot of other fruits. It does have the feel of almost like a tray of fresh summer fruits that have been sliced. There's also ambroxan used in this fragrance in order to mimic the ambergris that is kind of famously in a lot of Creed fragrances. This one and several other of the ARMAF fragrances really nail the ambergris imitation with ambroxan. And so it is just an incredible fragrance. It's a compliment getter. Really, I should have mentioned this. Every one of these are sort of known to be compliment getting fragrances. I've gotten compliments from pretty much all of them, maybe with the exception of one as I'm looking over these, but a fantastic spring and summer fragrance that'll just put you in the mood to go to the beach or the pool or go on vacation, get out in the heat. It's an awesome fragrance. All right, next up, I didn't realize I had so many clones in this video until I'm looking, but I was just looking over my collection thinking, what are some that are great for compliments that are just known to be DNAs that people really love? And that's what this one consists of. This next one is a super cheap clone of Spice Bomb with a caveat. I'm talking about Beverly Hills Club Blaze. And so this is Spice Bomb that is a little better tailored for warmer weather, for spring and even summer, although I probably wouldn't wear it at 100 degrees, but I have worn it in upper 80s, dozens of times. I've got several bottles of this, but it's basically Spice Bomb minus the tobacco. And so you're going to get the woods, the sweetness, the citrus, and the spiciness. So everything but the tobacco, which to me makes it more appropriate for warmer weather. And, it's unbelievable. You can get a set at, all the rack stores, Burlington or Ross or Marshall's or TJ Maxx. They often have these in, and you can get for $10 usually one of these 50 mils and maybe a little sample spray or aftershave or something like that. And it is, probably 85 to 90% like Spice Bomb, and the ways that it's changed make it even better for warmer weather. All right, next up, we're going to go with one that's not a cologne, but it is from a mall brand, and this is one that I think smells absolutely amazing, and so do, at this point, probably millions of other people. It's a very, high-selling fragrance. I'm talking about SoCal by Hollister. And so this is basically a vanilla coconut fragrance, but it has something in it that reminds me of leather, or almost like a rubbery kind of feel. I know that sounds weird, but with that vanilla coconut, not overly cloyingly sweet to my nose, mixed with something that's a little bit leathery or even, rubbery. It's definitely a synthetic smelling fragrance, but it's just a very interesting fragrance that is perfect for high heat, perfect for vacation, beach, pool, all of the above. It's just a great fragrance. It lasts pretty good as well. It's about a 7-hour fragrance, and it's also pretty affordable as well. All right, next up, let's see. Let's go with this one that is probably in the territory of beast mode. Very good performing clone of JPG, Jean Paul Gaultier Ultra Male. This one is AFNAN 9 p.m. And so this one, rather than pear in the opening, you're going to have apple. They're very similar, almost indistinguishable. And other than that, it's pretty much the same fragrance. So you've got vanilla and cinnamon and lavender. So it is a very sweet fragrance. Apple plus vanilla plus cinnamon. You've got a little bit of an aromatic vibe from lavender and a few other notes as well. This is a long-lasting, sweet men's fragrance that is very versatile. To me, it's pretty much an all-year-round fragrance. Don't go crazy on the sprays in summer. 2 or 3 is absolutely sufficient, but this thing nails the Ultramalt DNA for about 1/3 of the price. And AFNAN makes some strong fragrances. All right, next up, we're going to go with one that is another clone, and this is a clone of one of the best-selling fragrances of all time, and I love this one. It is a clone of Dior Sauvage. I'm talking about the Pride of ARMAF, and it's kind of right in between Sauvage EDT and Sauvage EDP. It doesn't have the overpowering opening that the EDT has. It's rounded off a little bit more, softened a little bit, a little of those harsh edges taken off, although I do still love the EDT. So it leans a little towards the EDP in that regard, and it is a very accurate, probably 90% close clone of Sauvage EDT/EDP. Pretty good performer as well. Not as good as Sauvage. That's a 10 or 12-hour fragrance on me. This is probably about a 7-hour fragrance, but man, it smells amazing, and it is very affordable as well. It's in the, mid to upper $20, maybe $30, depending on where you pick it up. And finally, number 10. This one is a clone as well of one of my really favorite fragrances of all time, probably top 3 fragrances of all time. It's a clone of Yves Saint Laurent YEDP. I'm talking about LATTAFA FAKHAR Black. And so this thing also is in the mid to upper $20 range. Insane quality. For the price. It's a very strong and long-lasting fragrance, and it's going to get very close to YEDP. There is something about the quality of the Yves Saint Laurent that this one can't touch. Some of the fragrance oils in the original give it sort of a 3-dimensional, almost physical fragrance profile. I don't know how else to say it, but some of the aromatic notes feel like you can just reach out and grab them. They're just so well done and so well blended. And this one, again, is probably about 90% close. There's something a little different about the aromatics. This one might lean just a slight sweeter. It's kind of hard to describe the differences, but it is close enough that what I usually do is I will spray YEDP on one side and FAKHAR Black on the other side, and that is a beautiful wearing experience for me. For the price, this is another no-brainer pickup in my opinion. So all of these are pretty much compliment-getting DNAs. As we got into the list, I realized how many of them were clones. I think out of the 10, Only it's about a 50-50 split or something like that, or maybe even 6 of the 10 are clones, which means they are inexpensive. And the other ones, you know, are pretty well reasonably priced as well, with the exception of the Parfums Vintage. So I hope that you enjoyed this list. Let me know down in the comments what would you add to it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that. I've got content coming out all the time, and I'd love to have you be able to check it out. I'm Justin. This is Sillage Scents. I'll see you on the next video.